my goodness, you just glow. You just sparkle. We've been watching you and going, look at you. We can see your spirit from within just exploding onto the universe with so much light. And I just treasure that. This has been so
Well,
wonderful.
I'm spiritually constipated. That's the problem. I need more time. I'm thinking, I can't do this in 45 minutes, but I did my best.
You know, why don't you just take a few minutes and go on? I don't know if anyone has real specific questions. I know that I want to hear more. I did read Troward many years ago. I studied to be a practitioner. In my life, I chose not to be a practitioner. I take my practice and give it into the democracy. But I look at you and just
the democracy needs it.
Yes.
We need you in the democracy.
We do.
Thank you. And I accept your blessing.
Who are you? I want to know who you are.
Hi, I'm Sue Wilson.
And where do you live?
I live in Fiddletown, California.
Okay.
All right. Gold Country.
This is my husband, Harry Cowan.
Thank you.
Harry.
Nice to see you. Nice to see you.
And Troward was very difficult for me. Troward was very, very difficult. But I would, just, unless everybody has more questions directly, what else can you tell us?
Let me just say this for you and everybody. Troward is difficult when you first discover Troward. But since you've been in Science of Mind, you're pickled. You're pickled now. And it's not all new to you. So Troward will make common sense to you. Now, Ernest said common sense isn't very common anymore. But since you've been in Science of Mind for a while, as I said, you pick up this book called The Dory Lectures. The chapters are very brief, but they're very succinct. And they don't get into a lot of subjective, a conscious mind, subjective mind. Those terms are pretty easy for you now. You know, we all have that personalization of God in us, which is called our use of the universal mind as our portion of that mind, supposedly in us, okay? And we have our head, our conscious use. So he just goes back and forth between those two and will pick a chapter like causes and conditions. And if somebody says they have these conditions in their life, then he'll say to you, well, why did you cause those conditions in your life? And then you'll say, well, I didn't know I did cause those conditions in my life. And he said, well, they weren't put upon you because that law that I talked about earlier, that impersonal law, that is the servant of spirit, your individualized spirit. So you get to impress the law with what it is you want it to produce. And if it's not producing what you want, go back to the law and direct it to produce what you want, your spirit. And the law is the servant of spirit. Who's next? Come on, don't be shy. I'm easy.
I want to ask a question.
Any question you want to ask?
I have this question. I can't see myself, so I don't know if you can talk to me.
You're lovely.
Anyway,
I can see you.
Today's reading in that book you're talking about, mine's a little old too. I have
Yes,
to tape it
that's a
back up.
textbook, yeah.
Right. Who is writing today?
Who's what?
Writing. Like, I do notice a difference between, when Charles is writing or where Ernest is writing. I do notice the difference, but I've never been sure which one was which.
Well, you can tell when Barker writes because he's very didactic. He doesn't like long sentences. So
Right.
He'll say something like, God is present, God is me, or God is working through me as me here and now. That's Barker. Now, Ernest, on the other hand, he'll say there is a presence, there is a power, there is a love. He's a romantic writer. Whereas Raymond, since he was born into unity, since his christening, he was a new thought person. He doesn't know anything but going directly for the bullseye. No meandering down the primrose path with him. There's a law, it's impersonal, it waits on you, so give it to what you want it to do. That's it. You don't have to say where it is in the Bible. You don't have to explain why Jesus said it, or Paul said it, or Job said it, or Isaiah said it. Spirit said it. Do it. That's Barker.
I thought so. And today is Ernie. This section
Okay.
is Jim.
So you do have that 365 days?
Oh, I've read it so many years. Years and years and years and years.
Well, look how lovely you look.
That's from all that reading. Thank you.
Okay, who's next?
Hi, I'm one of the mature new ones, very, very new, only since October.
Okay,
I have
you're
the
a
text.
newbie.
Oh, yeah. I have the
Good one,
text.
though.
Thanks, Kat. If I were going to go with Troward along with the text, would you suggest the Dory lectures first?
Well, I would be going against what is prescribed by what we call headquarters. Because they say that everyone should read the Edinburgh lectures, the first one. Now, the problem with the Edinburgh lectures is, in my opinion, he gives an introduction to what he is going to be talking about later. And so what the Dory lectures does is it's his rewriting, as though he's rewriting the Edinburgh lectures with more succinctness.
Okay.
So that if you're reading Science of Mind and you're a beginning student, as you are, and you're learning the philosophy behind the Science of Mind, what gave Science of Mind and what inspired Ernest to write what he did, I would say to you, let's see how I can put it. Use the Science of Mind to get the basic tenet of understanding.
Okay.
Read 365 Days of Richer Living.
Okay. Two.
Because that is all Science of Mind. Troward is in there. You won't know it until you read it, though. And it'll introduce you to Troward.
Okay.
You'll get it in the mix.
Okay.
And when you feel that you've, are you going to take a course with Mountainside? Are they
Yeah.
going to teach it to you? All right. When you've taken that course of introduction, wait a while before you read one of Troward's books.
Okay.
Get comfortable with the Science of Mind. And the way you'll do it is by reading daily that 365. It's easy reading. It speaks to the heart. It's not just heady. And it's about where the issues of life meet the road. In other words, we're all having issues of life. One could be called COVID-19. How do you cope with that? All these things about wear a mask, don't wear a mask, people not wearing a mask, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Well, the way I just turn it over. You know, I'm not here to solve the world's problems. Neither are you. I'm here to understand how I can present myself as a life of spirit with an understanding through my heart of love, how to integrate these principles and be a better example of the truth. That's what Jesus did. As Ernest says in the textbook, Jesus was the great example, not the great exception. You're going to be the great example, not the great exception. And if you become happy and fulfilled by reading The Science of Mind and reading 365, and then you want to go on to Troward, great.
Thank you. Thank you.
It'll keep you going for another 40, 50 years.
I'm up there with you.
Well, good. I need all the friends I can get up here with me.
Thank you.
We'll fool them all.
Yeah, we will.
Okay. I'm glad we got to visit.
Oh, thank you.
Well, thank you. Now you say thank you, and I'll say thank you.
And we'll do it for the next 30 minutes.
Yeah, right. Okay, who's next, Betty?
Reverend
Tommy,
Betsy,
did
did you have a
you have
question?
something to say?
Yes.
Oh,
What?
Oh,
Tommy
there
was
we are.
unmuted, so I thought she was ready to jump in.
Thank you, Dr. Lloyd. I read Troward years ago, and now I need to reread it because you've inspired me. And I thought I was pretty wise because I wasn't particularly intimidated by it, even though a lot of things since have. But I think I'm ready to reread it, and so I loved your talk, and thank you for talking about immortality. I've recently lost some people, and so I am going through redesigning my life, and it was inspiring to hear what you said about life and death and all that. So thank you again. And I'm the one that sends your check. So I just got your address and it'll be in the mail tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Let
the
me
treasurer.
let me say something to you before you go off
Okay.
the screen. I lost in my lifetime, because of my human years, I've lost people in my life too. I use that term, lost, very carefully, because I lost the familiarity of their presence.
Right.
But by reading Troward, I regained their presence in spirit, that I feel them in my life. They have not left my life. Now, this isn't just heady stuff. This is, I read Troward and I realize they exist in a higher realm than I'm functioning in right now in my human body. But that doesn't mean I can't receive the impress of their thinking as guiding me, loving me, directing me, spoofing me, and saying, "Oh, Lloyd, stop being such a jerk." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I haven't lost my sense of humor, and neither have they.
Yeah.
And that warms the chocolates of my heart.
Well, that's good.
Even though I live alone physically,
Mhm.
I'm not lonely.
That's what
They're here. I'm not a medium, by the way. I
uh-huh.
don't talk about other realm. I mean, I don't go to a medium to talk with other people. I simply talk to them myself,
I do that.
you know, and they comfort me.
Yes. Yes.
And it's not, some people probably would take what I'm saying and say, you know, that sounds kind of out there or whatever. It's not out there, it's in here. I
Mhm.
feel it. And it comforts me
Yes,
and it makes me happy. And
exactly.
so what's wrong with that?
Yes, I hear you. My husband was a practitioner too, so that was a nice
You
teach.
look like a practitioner.
Oh, thanks. Whatever that means.
Well, I can tell you what it means. The opportunity is being afforded to you to go beyond where you are now and to, you know, I mean, again, I'm going to say this, and I'm not trying to manipulate you in any way. But when I was became a widower, so to speak, I had to fill my life with purpose.
Yes.
And I didn't want to just age and be comfortable or take cruises and you know, have my evening cocktail to comfort me and all. I wanted to have a meaningful experience of whatever years I was to live on in this incarnation, and to have that come back and fulfill me. Because that's what we're all seeking, by the way. When we meet someone when we're young and we're in love and foolish, you know, how the thing goes, it's because we want fulfillment. We want to feel that we mean so much to that person that they commit themselves to us and we commit ourselves to them. But then as we grow into our maturity, one of us may be ready to move forward before the other. And so then it appears like they've left us. We've lost them and they've left us. But that's when you get to go deeper, because now you're not taking care of your husband. And
Right.
I don't mean that in an unkind way. I mean it that your husband doesn't dominate your life every day the way when you're living with a mate, and you know, you think about your mate first usually. Well, will they like this? Do they want to go there? Do they enjoy this meal? Da, da, da. All of that creates space,
I see.
and I think you ought to fill it. And when you fill it with your doing good works, and in the form, now you're doing good work for me right now. Just looking at you, I can see you have so much love to give and so much wisdom to share. Why not create a purpose for that in your life?
Well, thank you.
Now, I'm selfish. I want you to be part of my gang.
Okay, I'm there.
Okay, you sold?
I'm sold.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And if you ever need any guidance, you get a hold of me.
I will. Thank you. I really will.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Reverend Ramona, I just made another practitioner for you.
Excellent. Let's see. Reverend Betsy is unmuted. Did you have a question, Betsy?
Well, I didn't have a question. I wanted to share a little something with Dr. Tupper. 1982, I spent the weekend with a friend in San Jose, and she said to me Saturday night, "You will go to church with me tomorrow." And I thought, oh, okay. Well, I landed in the San Jose church, and Dr. Robert Scott was the minister at the time. I did not know who he was. I did not know anything about religious science. And I grew up in church. My mother was the organist, all kinds of things. So I was used to being in church, but this was so different. And I went home and I thought, those were the friendliest, nicest people I've ever met in my life. I wonder what they're doing. Well, then I moved away, and about a year later, I moved to Huntington Beach. And
Oh, Peggy Bassett.
yes, I was doing some fundraising for a domestic violence home there, and Dr. Peggy was there, and I don't even know how I started talking to her. Next thing I knew, I was there. I was in her church, and I have never looked back. However, I remember taking my first Science Mind class, and I thought, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. I don't even understand what Dr. Holmes is talking about. But I loved it so much that I wanted to understand it.
Right.
And I started to really understand him when I read this thing called You and this thing called Life.
Amen.
That absolutely took me on a path I never thought I would be on. And then when I became a practitioner, and one of my ministers asked me to teach a class called Roots, and there
You mentioned
there he
he
was, Mr. Jordan. I thought, I don't even understand him. How am I going to facilitate a class that I have to be with him? And so I just started reading the lectures, and all I could think was, I have to understand it at the level I can understand it.
That's right.
And so I just took one bite at a time. And my mother was more of the brainiac, and I was more the emotional. So she would tell me what she thought, and that's kind of how I learned to understand Troward in the way that I can understand him. And it amazes me how much he has made me grow.
Absolutely. I can tell you're a Trowardian.
I'm not sure if I'm a Trowardian. I'm certainly an Ernest Holmes person.
All right,
but,
we'll have a ceremony right now. I ordain you a Trowardian.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I just wanted, I just couldn't not be here with you today. It just was a wonderful
you.
experience. Thank
What
you.
an honor to have you here.
Oh, no, it was my honor, believe me. So
Thank
I
you.
have loved this philosophy. This ministry has grown me beyond measure, and to get to hear you and meet you this way.
Are you still active as a minister?
Kind of, sort of.
Okay, I know what that is.
Yes, I'm still active at the West Sacramento Church with Reverend Georgia Prescott. And
Oh, she's a whippet. Oh,
yeah,
she's
I've
good.
been there since 2012. So
Oh, good.
it's been a wonderful journey, and I would recommend it for everybody. But thank you so much for being here today. And
Thank you for welcoming me into your heart.
oh, for sure.
Reverend Ramona?
Yes, Sue.
I'm going to go off, but I want to thank everybody, and I was so happy to meet everybody. And you just did such a wonderful welcome for Lloyd. I mean, it's just, you've really got, I know he's having a good time, and I know he probably would like more questions because he loves to talk about this. But I have something I have to do. So I love you all. I'm so glad you called me. And Reverend Ramona, when you want to do the fundraiser, a big fundraiser that's easy, call me so I can give you the science of earnest mind.
All right. Well, thank you, Sue, for facilitating all of this for today. I
Sure.
appreciate it. And you have a blessed day. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Lloyd, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. All right, guys. How do I get off of here?
You know,
Yeah.
it's interesting, I think, you know, how this community just grows and grows and blossoms. So you spoke of Dr. Scott, and Betsy's first experience in Science of Mind was with
Dr. Scott.
Scott, right? And and Reverend Betsy is one of my teachers. So, and now we're teaching, you know, and we have another Mignon who's on here, who is being quiet today, who was one of our students through Roots, and she's now Reverend Mignon, and I thought for sure she would jump on here today because she is just a fan of Roots and of Ernest Holmes and Emma Hopkins and Troward, of course. So
Okay, I'll jump on.
there she is.
There she is.
Expanding and expanding and expanding. So
Ramona knows that I have like probably a million questions, but mostly I'm grateful for, I tried to bring Troward to life, but I am so grateful in the way that you have brought Troward to life for me and really energized me in a deeper understanding. As I teach Roots over the years, some years I love him and some years I can't stand him and I don't know exactly what's going on. But I have this fluid relationship.
I'll tell you what it is. When you first get with Troward, it's intellectual. And it stimulates us because intellectually we know there's something there. We may not grasp it emotionally yet, but intellectually, like our conscious thinking, we think there's something here and I'm not getting it yet. And that's the game. That's what goes back and forth between our head and our heart. But the more you read Troward, simply, not convolutedly, if you read Troward lightly and you don't try to read it like a book, but you read, if you have to read a paragraph at a time, and the paragraph reaches your heart, you'll know, because suddenly you'll feel something going on in you. It won't be all in your head. Then that's enough. Stay with that feeling and just put a check, like a check, beside that paragraph. And then when you go back to it, reread that paragraph and reread the next one. That's how you ease into Troward, because what Troward is doing is making the connection between the hat and the heart. They say that 14 inches is the longest road, the head and the heart. I tend to be a little heady, and I'm working at trying not to be that way, because I'm really a heart person. I feel your heart looking at you. I'm a heart-oriented person. But, you know, I realize that I can't romance this thing too much. It's like when you're in a relationship and all you want to do is, oh, honey, you're so sweet, and I want to nibble on your ear, and, you know, let me bite your nose or something. You know what I mean? But with Troward, you know, he's a no-nonsense kind of lover. You have to kind of just get slow and in there, and then you'll never put him away. Never put him away. Because no matter what your mood is, no matter what's happened, you pick up Troward, and guess what? And I've heard other people say that you turn to exactly the page you needed. And he just starts on you, and something comes alive within you, and you feel like, oh, thank God, you know, here's life again. So there you go. Where do you live?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Where are you
I
living?
am in West Sacramento.
West Sacramento. Okay. Yeah, I know Sacramento. Yeah, and I know Reverend Prescott.
Yeah, my
Okay.
friends they'll let you know I spent 9 years in Boston. So yeah, I'm familiar with the East Coast too.
Okay, all right, all right. Bye.
you know, I think you make a good point about how you don't try to read Troward as a book, but rather just a paragraph or a few sentences. And I think that is so true even for picking up the text of the Science of Mind text, is pick it up and open it and Spirit brings to you what you need to read that day.
Reverend Ramona, I'm going to have to bow out now. I want to thank everybody and you and your staff and all your wonderful expanded congregants around the world. And thank you for the opportunity to share my path with you.
Thank our gratitude goes to you. This has been absolutely wonderful, and I appreciate the great gift of time and wisdom that you have shared with us. So absolutely have a blessed day, and thank you so much.
And
we
don't
ask you-
be a stranger in my living room.
Okay.
Can we ask
Okay.
you one more question, Reverend Lloyd? About
Yes.
Power in You. Someone wanted to know if you have plans to republish that, The Power in You.
By Troward?
You, the one that you had the rights to, is that right?
Spiritual
Katrina?
healing for today.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yes, about that one. Mhm.
Healing for, okay. And is there any plans to republish that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, okay,
I'm
Great.
working on it.
very good. We'll look
I'm
forward to that.
making a commentary to what Dr. Barker said.
Good, okay.
Okay?
We'll be patient.
All right, everyone.
Thank you.